All right, welcome back everyone to the AI Research Roundup. I'm your host, Alex. Today, we're diving into a fascinating paper published just recently, January 22nd, 2025, titled TopoLM, Brain-like Spatio-functional Organization in a Topographic Language Model. So this article introduces a transformer model, TopoLM, designed specifically to mimic the spatial organization we see in the human brain's language areas, something current models often lack. It does this using a special spatial smoothness loss during training. Okay, so let's look at Figure 1 to see how they actually built this TopoLM. Part A shows the core idea. They modified the standard transformer by adding a 2D spatial encoding after the attention and MLP layers. This spatial map is crucial for calculating that smoothness loss, which is combined with the usual task loss. Part B details how this spatial loss encourages nearby units to have similar activity, and C shows how they simulate fMRI sampling for evaluation. Building on that model structure, Figure 2 shows the results. Part A uses a functional localizer to identify language-selective clusters within TopoLM, similar to the human brain, shown in B. The response profiles within these clusters are consistent. Crucially, Part C compares the whole network response. TopoLM, in blue, closely matches the neural data pattern, shown in green, much better than the standard non-topographic model in orange, which doesn't capture these neural patterns well. Okay, so digging deeper, Figure 3 looks specifically at noun and verb selectivity. Part A shows the real fMRI data pattern. Then, Part B quantifies this spatial clustering. TopoLM in blue shows much stronger clustering, especially after simulated fMRI sampling, getting closer to the neural data. The non-topographic baseline, in orange, lags behind. Part C visually confirms this. You can see clear noun/verb clusters emerging in TopoLM, unlike the baseline model. Okay, now Figure 4 explores whether this noun/verb organization changes based on the type of word. Concrete versus abstract. Part A shows visually. TopoLM develops distinct verb/noun clusters for concrete words, especially with simulated fMRI sampling, but not really for abstract words. Part B quantifies this. TopoLM, in blue, shows way stronger clustering for concrete words than abstract ones, replicating empirical results. The baseline model doesn't show this effect. So while TopoLM shows this really interesting brain-like organization, especially for concrete words, a key question is, does adding this spatial constraint hurt the model's actual performance? Well, Table 1 addresses exactly that. It compares TopoLM and the standard non-topographic model on benchmarks like BLIMP, GLUE, and BrainScore. The results are pretty close. TopoLM is slightly behind on BLIMP and BrainScore, but slightly ahead on GLUE. Essentially, adding spatial smoothness doesn't significantly impede performance. Okay, so knowing that performance isn't really harmed, let's look at Figure 8, which visualizes the core language system within the models. It shows language selectivity maps across different layers. You can see the non-topographic model on the left, then TopoLM in the middle, and TopoLM with simulated fMRI sampling on the right. Notice how much clearer the language selective clusters become in TopoLM, especially after that simulated fMRI smoothing compared to the baseline. Alright, so wrapping things up, we saw how TopoLM successfully creates this brain-like spatial organization using that smoothness loss, which becomes even clearer with simulated fMRI. And crucially, this added structure doesn't really compromise its core language abilities. This suggests that spatial smoothness might be a general principle for brain organization, extending beyond just vision. That's it for this AI Research Roundup. Thanks for listening.